And welcome back to my channel. I'm back this week with another video for you guys, but today we're gonna be doing another review. We're gonna be reviewing the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Lock Primer. So pretty much this is a mattifying primer from L'Oreal, and we're gonna be doing a review and word test on this as well as a tutorial, and I'll show you guys how I apply it and everything. So if you're interested to see a review on this product, go ahead and keep on watching, but don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Let's get into this review. Alright guys, so before doing my application, I am gonna show you guys some facts about this primer. Now this primer is 1 ounce, so you get pretty much the same amount of product that you would get in a foundation, and this is $12.99. However, this is $10.99 at Walmart, so depending on where you get the primer, it will be a different price, but I will leave some prices here to show you guys kind of like an idea of what you will be paying for this primer. And the description on the website says, discover the secret for long wear matte makeup that lasts. L'Oreal Paris Infallible Matte Lock Foundation Primer primes for makeup and perfects while it smooths skin for a better makeup application. Face primer blurs imperfections and keeps oil at bay. Plus, this matte primer locks in a matte finish that lasts all day. Guys, I am so excited to use this today because I am wearing a very luminous foundation that usually gets really oily on me, and the fact that this claims to keep me matte all day is amazing because I hate when my makeup gets oily. So this is to apply. You need to apply it before foundation application. You apply primer to the face, focusing on areas prone to oil like the forehead, nose, and chin. For my application, I applied this on the forehead, on my nose, and on my chin, on all those 3 places because that is where I get the most oil, and that is the only places I applied this primer. And yeah, those are pretty much the facts. I'm gonna show you a close-up of the packaging, and after that we'll move on to our application. So this is what the packaging looks like. As you can tell, this is actually pretty big. It feels pretty heavy, and this is like a soft matte, and when you open it up, this is what it looks like. I'm gonna show you on my skin. So this is what the primer looks like when you mix it in. As you can tell, it goes from being very liquidy to being very thick. So now that I showed you an up close about this product, let's get into the application part of this video. And if you want to see how I apply this primer and kind of how it works in action live on my skin, then go ahead and keep on watching. Well, hello guys, so let's get to the application part of this video. I'm just gonna apply this on my T-zone since that is where I get the most oil on my face. Since I do have combination skin, I do tend to get dry on the outer parts of my face, but I get really oily on the nose, on the forehead, and on the chin. So that's where I will be applying this primer, not all over my face because that will not give me the results I'm looking for. And I'm just gonna grab in my ring finger that much, like just a little bit. I don't want to go in with too much at first. I'm gonna dot it on my forehead, dot it on my nose, and dot it on my chin. And I'm first just gonna mix it on my nose. And this feels like a lotion. Like, it doesn't feel silicone-y or anything. It feels like I'm applying lotion on my face, but as you can tell, it's already kind of drying down. It looks very, very matte. And it gets a little thicker with time. Like, when you first apply it on your face, it feels like very cold. But now that it is like drying down, it feels thicker. But it doesn't feel silicone-y or anything. So as you can tell, that tiny bit was enough to cover my whole nose, my chin, and my forehead, which is really, really nice. And it does look very matte. Like, as you can tell, that completely canceled out all the shine on my face, which is exactly what I'm looking for because the foundation that I'm going to be wearing today is a hydrating foundation. And since that is a hydrating foundation, I tend to get very oily on my nose, on my forehead, and on my chin with it. But I'm going to see if I can actually wear this foundation without getting oily all day with this primer because I feel like this would work. Like, it feels very matte already, and now that it completely dried down, it feels kind of sticky as well. Like, when I touch my face, it feels a little bit sticky, which I actually like in primers because I feel like my makeup sticks to the primer if it is a little sticky. So I really like how it is feeling a little sticky. And of course, where I did not apply the primer, it does not feel sticky. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply some POREFessional on my pores, on my cheeks only, not on my nose, not on my forehead, not on my chin, just on my pores right here, since I did not apply the mattifying primer there, since I do not get oily there. Literally just grabbing a tiny bit, and I'm just covering these pores with a little bit of POREFessional. Just applied it on my cheeks, right here on my pores, not on my nose, because I do not want to affect the results that this will have. I literally just applied it right here. And I do want to make note of the fact that I did moisturize my face. I used this moisturizer for my face before doing my makeup. So yeah, my face is also prepped for my makeup. And this is my face primed right now. As you can tell, I cannot see any shine on my nose, on my forehead, or on my chin. But now we're gonna apply foundation, and I'm gonna be using the Tarte Shape Tape Foundation in Hydrating. And the reason why I'm wearing this foundation is because, as I said before, this is a hydrating foundation. That means that when I wear this, I do tend to get quite oily. If you saw my review on this foundation, you know what I'm talking about. I got so oily at the end of the day when I was wearing this, but I want to see if this oil slick mess that happened last time will happen this time with the mattifying primer. So that's why I really think that this will be a really good test, because when I wear this foundation alone, it does get very oily. But if it doesn't get oily with this primer, then that must mean that the primer is the reason why it's not getting oily. So I hope that wasn't too confusing, but that is why I chose this foundation. And I'm just gonna apply this on my face as I usually would apply any other foundation. Just in case you didn't watch my Shape Tape review, which I will tap at the top of the screen. I know this shade is a little too light for my skin tone. I'm completely aware of that. And I put foundation on my hair again. Nice. Just going in with my beauty blender. I don't know about you guys, but that primer made my foundation blend on the nose so effortlessly. It doesn't look oily. That is so nice. I'm gonna blend it down the neck with my Tarte paddle brush. By the way, the foundation shade that I am wearing is Light Sand. I forgot to mention that. I'm just gonna build it up a little bit. Just on my cheeks. Just blending this again with the beauty blender. Okay guys, so this is what my skin is looking like after applying foundation. As you can tell, I can still see some of the shine of the foundation on my cheeks here, but I did not apply my mattifying primer here because I don't want to get extremely dry. But on my nose, my chin, and my forehead, I cannot see the shine from this foundation, which is exactly what I was looking for. So now I'm just gonna apply some Shape Tape concealer. This is shade Light Neutral. And we're blending with a beauty blender again. I feel like my foundation and concealer blended so easily today. Like, it usually doesn't blend this fast. It might be the primer, you know? Like, wherever I applied the primer, it's just blending like a dream. So this is what it looks like after blending the concealer. Pretty much the same thing as the foundation. I feel like it looks pretty matte where I applied the mattifying primer, and it is blending extremely easy. Like, this foundation usually doesn't blend this fast on the places where I put the primer, so that is really nice. I feel like this primer is also helping the blend in my foundation, and that could be because it was sticky. You know how I told you that it felt kind of sticky and the product sticks to it? I feel like that's the reason why it's blending so easy, so that's a huge plus. So now I'm just gonna grab some MAC x PatrickStarrr Powder, and we're gonna set our under eyes first and the rest of our face as well. Okay guys, and this is my face after the powder. I have to say that after applying powder, I always get more matte, but I really like how my nose is looking like where I put the primer. It feels very, very soft, and also like how the chin and the forehead also look very matte. So now I'm just gonna finish up doing my makeup, and I will be right back to show you guys what my makeup looks like after I put everything else on top of it, like powder, contour, bronzer, and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a little bit, but so far I am really liking how this primer is making my foundation look. Okay guys, so this is what my makeup is looking like after everything being completely done. I know you can see some shine on my nose, but that is because I always highlight my nose. I put a tiny bit of highlighter, but that is completely normal because I do that with every single foundation I wear. What I'm really going to be testing is to see if it actually looks oily as of like having a lot of oil on my skin. And I do want to say that I set my makeup with the L'Oreal Infallible. This is the makeup extender setting spray. It's also by L'Oreal, and I usually use this literally every day when I do my makeup, so that's not gonna affect my results either. And I did wear this setting spray where I did my first impressions on the Shape Tape foundation, and it still got very oily. So I feel like the primer is a true test in this makeup that I have on, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. Okay guys, so as I said before, I am really liking how this primer has worked. Some of the things that I've liked is the fact that it actually held my foundation blend better. And I also like that I literally needed the tiniest bit of product for it to cover my whole nose, my chin, and my forehead, like completely coated. And this is pretty big, like as you can tell, like compared to my face, this is pretty big and it feels pretty heavy, so that is a huge plus. The fact that a little bit goes a very long way, and this is actually a pretty big bottle from the drugstore, so yeah, that's a very huge plus. So right now it is 1:37 in the afternoon. I will be back at the end of the day to show you guys what it is looking like. But yeah, right now I am liking it. I like how the foundation blended on top of the primer. So yeah, so far so good, and I will see you in a little bit for my final thoughts and my word test. Well, hello guys. So right now it is 11:36 at night, which means that I've been wearing this makeup for 10 hours, and I have to say I still look like an oily, slicky mess. So the first time I wore this foundation, which is a Tarte Shape Tape, I ended up looking after 8 hours. Just like this, and I didn't wear a mattifying primer. And today, where I wore the mattifying primer, expecting for the primer to actually work and make me look completely matte, as you can tell, it didn't work. And you know, I really like how the primer made my foundation blend into my skin. It blended really nicely. I like how it actually smoothed out my pores and my imperfections, and how just my foundation looked on top of the primer for the first couple of hours. For like the first 4 hours, it was great. After that 4-hour mark, I started looking like this. You know, it doesn't look as oily as it did with the foundation alone without the primer, but this is still too oily for my liking. And as you can tell, my foundation rubbed off on my chin and it started caking up like right around my nose, so that looks pretty gross. So you know, I am disappointed on the primer because I've heard that it is really mattifying, that it is great at keeping the oil at bay, and maybe I'll use it with another foundation to see if it's just this foundation. But I feel like if you're gonna wear a mattifying primer, it's because you're gonna get oily, and if this foundation makes me oily, that primer should have done the trick to keep me matte, and it did not. I guess if you use the mattifying primer with a mattifying foundation and a mattifying powder, then you'll be all set. But the PatrickStarrr powder is a mattifying powder as well. So I wear a mattifying primer and a mattifying powder and I still look oily. That was just disappointing. So if you have extremely oily skin, I wouldn't recommend the primer. I mean, if you wear a matte foundation, definitely go for the primer, because I know my sister uses the primer and she puts on the primer and then she wears the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte, which is this guy right here. She wears this one on top of the primer and it looks pretty good on her, and it keeps her oil at bay, and she has oilier skin than I do. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of powder on my skin, some MAC x PatrickStarrr, see what it looks like. My nose pretty much looks completely fine now after touching up. So if you do want to still try out this primer, again, you can touch up after a certain amount of time. It just didn't really wow me at all. I thought that I was gonna be looking like this all day, like completely matte, and I was not. So that was really disappointing because it is a mattifying primer. So yeah guys, that is it for this video. If you like this review, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel before you leave. I really appreciate your guys' support, and I did want to say thank you so much for 250 subscribers. Thank you so much, like literally your support means so much to me, so thank you. And yeah guys, that is it for this video, and I will see you on my next video, and yeah, bye guys.